In the 19th century, there was one voice that just completely cut through the noise of industrial London. It earned him the title, the Prince of Preachers. Today, we're talking about Charles Spurgeon, a man who really became a spiritual anchor in an age of pretty profound doubt.
And this one quote, it gets right to the heart of who he was. For Spurgeon, this wasn't just some clever saying. Nope, it was the absolute key to his entire ministry. It shows you his unshakable belief that Scripture had the power to hold a person together, especially when the world around them feels like it's completely falling apart. And that idea of holding on when the world is chaotic, that's so crucial to his story. Because to really get why Spurgeon was such a big deal, you have to understand just how turbulent his world really was. It was a time of incredible progress, for sure, but also deep, deep uncertainty.
So try to picture London in the mid-1800s. I mean, this was the biggest, busiest city on the entire planet. The Industrial Revolution was going full steam. Factories humming, newspapers pumping out all these radical new ideas. The pace of life was just getting faster and faster. It must have been an exciting but also pretty disorienting time to be alive.
Really, the whole era was defined by this massive collision of worldviews. On one side, you had centuries of traditional biblical faith, and on the other, you had these explosive new ideas, like Darwin's theory of evolution and this rising tide of rationalism that basically said faith was obsolete. This was the new battleground for the modern soul. And right into this whirlwind of change steps this one young man. So the question is, how does a teenager, a kid from a small village, rise up to become one of the most influential voices in the world, speaking right into the heart of this cultural storm? Well, for Spurgeon, it all started with this single verse. The story goes he gets caught in a snowstorm, ducks into this small, simple church just to get warm, and here's a preacher talking about this one line from Isaiah. It was a simple message of direct, personal salvation, and right there, in that moment, everything changed for him. And here's what's truly astonishing. His age. When this life-altering moment happened, he was just 15 years old. 15! At an age when most of us are just trying to figure out who we are, Spurgeon found the core conviction that would define the rest of his entire life. And after that, his rise was just meteoric. Following that conversion at 15, his passion and his raw talent for speaking were so obvious that by the time he was only 19, he was called to be the pastor of a major church in London, the New Park Street Chapel, just 4 years later.
His impact was immediate, and it was massive. People from every single social class flocked to hear him. So why? Well, his preaching was just direct, passionate, and deeply personal. He used simple language and vivid stories that just connected with ordinary folks. His congregation grew so fast, they actually had to build the Metropolitan Tabernacle, a brand new church big enough to seat over 5,000 people.
But it wasn't just his style that was pulling in these massive crowds. It was the substance of his message. See, he wasn't just offering up inspiration. He was taking a firm, and often controversial, stand for what he believed was the truth, right in the face of all this modern skepticism.
And that brings us to the core challenge he took on. While a lot of other church leaders were trying to kind of water down their message, to fit in with all the new scientific and rationalist ideas, Spurgeon, he went in the exact opposite direction.
This was his answer, and what an answer it is. He truly believed the Bible didn't need him or anyone else to defend it. His job was just to let it loose, to preach its message clearly, boldly, and then have the confidence that its own power would do the work. I mean, what an incredible statement of confidence. And this belief wasn't just some theory for him. It led to a major public conflict that became known as the downgrade controversy. Spurgeon saw other leaders questioning core Christian doctrines, things like the inspiration of the Bible, the divinity of Christ, all in an effort to seem more modern. He publicly called this a downgrade from true faith and called for a return to those foundational beliefs. It was a painful, isolating stand to take, but for him, it was a matter of principle. But Spurgeon's impact wasn't just in the pulpit or in public debates. Not at all. His faith demanded action, and he put that faith to work in some incredibly real, tangible ways. I mean, look at this. He founded a college to train new ministers. He established orphanages to care for the city's most vulnerable kids. He supported tons of charities all over London. For Spurgeon, preaching the word and living the word, they were two sides of the very same coin. What makes his legacy even more remarkable, though, is that he did all of this while battling frequent illness and really severe bouts of depression. And through it all, his work endured.
Today, his sermons are still among the most widely read Christian writings in history. His voice continues to influence people all over the globe.
Spurgeon's life really leaves us with this powerful question, one that's just as relevant today as it was back in the 19th century. In a world that is always shifting, always chasing the next new thing, what does it truly mean to anchor yourself to something you believe is timeless?